From Ashland, Oregon, home of William Shakespeare and progressive politics, and broadcasting live from the Southern Oregon University Digital Media Center and the RVTV studio, it's the So Not So Late Night Glamour Dave show, and recorded before a non-existent studio audience with a skeletal crew of certified public access producers. You can expect to see tonight's guests, whoever they may be, the Glamour Dave Comedy Players, and the Rogue Valley Public Access Orchestra. Now, here's your host, David Glamour Dave Nienow.
Hey there, Rogue Valley. Welcome to another edition of the So Not So Late Night Glamour Dave show. I'm your host, David Glamour Dave Nienow, and we're doing another attempt at lowbrow public access comedy, and boy, have we got an exciting show tonight. So, start things off with, I have my guest sidekick this evening is Wanda Borland, who's a fellow RVTV producer and great friend here at the studio, who produces and who basically directs nearly all my shows for Rogue Artisans and Crafters. So she's going to be my guest sidekick for this evening and help me keep me on track with my interviews because I do get distracted sometimes. And then I have, as my guest for the first half of the show this evening, I have Joe Brett, who is the RVTV Operations Director here at RVTV, and he is also known around the Valley as a sports journalist and does a lot of sports broadcasting around the Valley, and has been a fixture on local TV for 30 years. So he's going to be the first guest, and then tonight, as a musical guest, I have the Danielle Kelly Soul Project, one of the finest bands in the Rogue Valley, the biggest band to ever be on the history of this show. And so they're going to be performing a couple of songs, and so they're basically vying for that coveted role of the RVTV Public Access Orchestra. We're so many musical performers here in the Valley, basically really are striving to get that job. So that's our musical guest for the evening. So let's get this show on the road. So Wanda,
Hello.
Joe. Okay, well, Wanda, welcome for coming on the show again and being my guest sidekick. And Joe, thank you very much for being on the show.
Appreciate the invite, David. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is my first time being your sidekick.
Well, you give Wanda a big job, too, to keep you in line. And that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I think I make her life just a little bit hectic, but she does a great job directing my Rogue Artisans and Crafters art shows.
That's a wonderful show.
Yeah.
If I must say so, yes.
Well, and you, with your work, with your help, we've made it into an award-winning show, so that's always a cool thing. So
That's right.
So, Joe, I wanted to kind of get you on the show and kind of talk about your story a bit because, long before I ever became involved here at RVTV, I saw you on the local TV stations as a youth. All right. I won't specify how many years that my youth goes back to, but yeah, I mean, you're kind of been a prominent sports broadcaster in our area for a very long time.
Yeah, I was a baseball player. I went through 4 years of college and traveled all over the country and couldn't find anybody to pay me to do that for a living at the end of that whole thing. So I was really glad that I went to school and finished at a really good communications school that kind of laid the groundwork. And when I was in high school in Klamath Falls, my work-study job my junior year was to help out at the TV station. So I developed an interest in media. I had been invited down for an interview my sophomore year before a state championship baseball game and just kind of thought, this was kind of a cool place. So did that little work-study stuff, and that was my focus beyond baseball in college. So I came back to Klamath Falls in 1981 and started at KOTI. Channel 2 over there as a sports director. Made my way all the way to Medford in 1984 and have gone nowhere since then.
Joe, let me ask you.
I'd climbed the ladder that far.
Yeah.
Joe, let me ask you, where'd you go to college?
2 years at Central Arizona College, down between Phoenix and Tucson, which was a great junior college baseball league. And then I was on the doorstep of almost going to the University of Nebraska to play baseball, but scholarships ran tight, and I ended up at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas, which had a great communication. So that was my number 2 choice because of their communication department there.
And I'm curious, where were you born, raised, or where'd you spend your childhood?
By the time I turned 3, I was born in North Dakota, but was in a military family, so grew up in Corvallis.
Oh.
And then my dad transferred down to Klamath Falls when I was in 5th grade, and he retired there, so I went through high school.
So you are an Oregonian.
Pretty much the only memories I've ever had of the state of Oregon
Nice.
and my time here.
Yeah. So, so once you got like your first broadcast job was basically over in Klamath Falls, basically, right? And so from the outset it was sports-oriented broadcasting that you started off doing.
Sports director, which in a small market means that you go shoot it, you write it, you edit it, and you read it on the news live.
Yeah.
So it was an awesome one-man band kind of thing. Learned to shoot every sport that all the high schools played. Made some great relationships. You know, sports and the coaches that had influence on me growing up were, my teachers were great, but my coaches really had some incredible influence on me and guided me in ways that have paved the way for the limited success that I've had in my life forever on, and I love to see that process repeating itself and replicating. So there are guys that were pretty big names in their high school days.
Right.
Now their sons are coming down to Channel 10 on Friday nights, and their sons are going off to the college experiences and the things that they did. So to watch that come full circle and watch them go through that process themselves, and then here come their sons or daughters even, you know, the girls' sports. That's been a really rewarding process. I got to go as a sports director to a lot of Trailblazer, 49ers, Seahawks games, and Major League Baseball games.
Exciting.
And it really was, those pro athletes just had a distaste for the media. And so there was this discord. You would go there, and they were just, some of those guys, I would say, Clyde Drexler played for the Portland Trailblazers. There was great gentlemen, great
yes,
professional.
I always thought he was a
I
gentleman.
could name on 2 hands the guys that really stood out to me that were really substantially good human beings and good, but a lot of those guys were just kind of full of themselves.
Oh.
And so it was, after a few years, it was like I got more satisfaction. I worked with the SOU college athletes and the high school athletes because they played the sports for the love of the sport and for their camaraderie and their teammates and to represent their school and community. And that was much more wholesome and much more reward. I haven't had a desire to be in a bigger city or to cover the higher levels of sports.
So I just want to make clear, did you actually go into sports as a player, or did you finish your college and go right into media?
I played baseball as long as I could before you just had to get a job, basically. So I went through 4 years of college and played in an incredible summer league. So I was in Miami, Florida, one February playing a series of games down there. I was in Fairbanks, Alaska that June playing summer college baseball up there. So great way to see the country. But that opportunity, there's about 1 in 10,000. There's about 1 in 100,000 at the high school level. When you get to the college level, it's still about 1 in 10,000 that are ever going to make a living at it. It's a lot of really good players, a lot of good guys, but the reality is there's only so much room.
That's right, yeah.
So let's bring you to Medford in the Rogue Valley. When did that happen?
1984, I came from Channel 2 in Klamath Falls, which is owned by the Smullen family, which the broadcast pioneers of Southern Oregon and Northern California, William B. and Patsy Smullen and their family.
And they're Channel 5 here in Medford.
Yes, so that's what brought me to Medford. They own Channel 5 as well. And that was my great blessing to work for a family-owned organization like that. To this day, they've held their own. And you think of all the corporate takeovers and how things have merged. Well, here are the Smullens still operating this wonderful, with their assets in Eureka.
Keep my fingers crossed, though.
When I was in the 1980s, I would go up to Salem and shoot basketball games and go to the State Capitol building. And we had a microlink. Little satellite towers, dishes that could feed all the way from Reading, all the way from Salem down to Medford. So I would plug my highlights into a tape deck, and they would tape them. I would feed them down to Medford, and then someone would edit them, and then I could actually do the sportscast from the State Capitol.
Wow.
And they would just roll the video, and I could hear in my earpiece when the crowd would cheer. I knew the video was over, and it was just really. But to be able to do that nowadays, that's easy. I mean, everybody does that. In the '80s, that was amazing technology. So the Smullens, and to this day, I have a great admiration for them, and they were really wonderful to give me the opportunity to. Because
their history in broadcast here in Rogue Valley goes back to the early 1950s.
1950s, yes. And you should see upstairs at KOTI. It was upstairs where they had the parking garage, shelf upon shelf of original television. There was a museum in these old KOTI buildings.
Original
televisions?
televisions?
Television
Or
components, the big tubes, I mean, everything that it took to do
they were up,
television.
they were up in the parking
50s
garage?
and the 60s. Yeah, the old spare parts and stuff were all stored up there. And you think of things in the digital world now, tiny things in our phone, the computing capacity of our phone.
Yeah,
And these were, but it was just, you know, for a media geek, that's pretty cool. You go upstairs, you just have this little museum up there of, you know, stuff from the original television.
Well, I
signals
think there's
that
a
they
room
generated.
here at the Digital Media
Yes,
Center
yes.
that has the older technology equipment
16
hanging
millimeter
around.
film, yeah. The first time I ever saw video on television at KOTI, it was 16 millimeter film that we developed in a chemical bath on site. So you would shoot the film and then you had to develop it, and it goes in and out. And sometimes it went in and didn't come out. And that's where they get on the news now.
And then to edit it, you actually had to splice
hot
the
splicer,
tape.
yes,
and,
you cut the film.
oh, I'm glad technology
You
has
explain
evolved
this,
from
you
that.
explain this to Keegan and these college students. They look at you like, wow, you lived with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Pretty much. I have to agree, yeah.
Okay, so let's bring you to RVTV.
Yeah.
Wonderful opportunity that just came about kind of unexpectedly. In 1989, I'd done 10 years in TV news, TV sports, and
So you had been 10 years at Channel 5?
Channel 2 and Channel 5.
Oh.
And we were creating some programming things that I just wasn't, I was starting a family too. So I had been married for several years, but we were about to start a family. And so an opportunity came up just to help out. And I knew that I was never going to be able to raise a family doing TV news. So Pete Del Castro
that's sad.
had started. He was a graduate student here, was the Guanajuato Communication Graduate Student of the Year, and he got this opportunity to start Ashland Cable Access. And it was one channel, Channel 9. On
He
Charter
started
Cable.
it?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
He was the founding director of where it all started.
I
It was
knew
a
he
cit-
had a long history, but I didn't
yeah,
realize that.
yeah. The first 17 years were under his guidance. So
Wow.
City of Ashland, Ashland Community Hospital, and the university were the three partners. It was one channel. We had 4 tape decks. So we had this little blue-gray switcher, 12x2 switcher. It was tape 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 was the Ashland City Council chamber. And that's where we'd hit the live meetings twice a month for the city council to come on. So that's really where, you know, public education and government access television didn't exist before 1990 in the Valley.
Yeah.
Started very simply, but Ashland was the incubator. And the city of Ashland had the vision with the university. And I'm so glad that it started in Ashland and at the university, because the university has been a perfect home base for what has grown to our regional network now, to include Jackson and Josephine County and Grants Pass, Ashland and Medford, and all of the entities now that share and enjoy, and the reach of our public access. You know, Channel 182 Voices is seen live in both counties now, full reach there, live online, and the archive. To see the growth of that, it has served our governments and our communities really, really well. And kudos to you producers. We've seen a resurgence in the last 5 years of public access producing some of the best volume of programming, but also some of the quality of programming that's just been outstanding. So it's been really great to watch that flourish as well.
So you came here, but you maintain your sports journalism career, and you also branched out into real estate also.
I did for a little while. Yeah.
Oh, for a little while. Okay.
I took actually for about 9 years I had a license, but it was always something that if I had time to do, and there was not so much business where it was a huge demand on my time. And what finally kind of put that on the shelf was the company that I own, that Pete and I started, Table Rock Sports. We started a media company that did radio broadcasts for the local schools. Started with Ashland High School, and then about 1995 we took it to North and South. It was the Medford schools then, and they split in 1986.
So you were on the radio, is that what you're saying?
For years, and we did 10 years. We did the SOU football and basketball broadcast. So we'd do a high school game on Friday night, and then we would come to Ashland or travel to wherever the Raiders were in Los Angeles or Tacoma or
You and Pete.
anywhere in between. Yeah.
Wow, I bet that was a fun time.
Yeah, it's a younger man's game. I got to say that.
Now,
but,
Pete
but we worked
is-
at the university and represented the university's athletics as well through Table Rock Sports. And then it turned into live video streaming about 8 years ago. And so now we branched out. We work with 7 or 8 local schools to do boys and girls sports throughout the school year. And we also contract with the Oregon School Activities Association We did 73 playoff events for the state of Oregon in a 1-month period just this fall.
So who hears that? Is that on the radio or is
That's
that on
live
TV also?
on tablerocksports.net is our website where all of our regular season games are seen. And then when you go to the playoffs, there's a National Federation of High Schools, the NFHS network, where we then contract with them to produce games for them and create
I'm not going to
content
pretend I follow everything
Yeah,
that
no,
you just said.
It just sounds like you have an extremely busy schedule.
We did over 430 live high school events last year.
Well, I
Last
guess
year?
what I'm
Oh,
trying to find
42
out
state
is
championship events that
where do people watch that?
on our website, tablerocksports.net.
Oh, okay.
For all the schools, that's the clearinghouse for all the schools. And then in the playoffs, you have to go to a pay-per-view website where you have to buy a 1-month subscription to the NFHS network.
Now,
so a little different rules.
Pete is still on the radio doing something
No.
different, or I've
Oh,
seen him
yes,
on
he is.
YouTube.
Yeah,
He's doing a
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah,
or-
he's doing like a real estate
The real
thing.
estate show. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. He and I teamed up on that for years, but he's partnered with Alice Lima on that now, who is one of the top 1% agents in all of Oregon, and John L. Scott. So
Yeah.
he upgraded is how we look at that. I'm out and Alice is in. So yeah, for the real estate show, that was a good move.
Well, you know, Pete came in and he was our MC for our Southern Oregon Television Awards. It was our last
That's right. Our last one.
event.
That
And
was
so
this past
I
February.
just want to shout out Pete.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
doing
thanks,
that.
Pete
We really
Belcastro, for that,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
And I have to tell you, Pete was adamant in every negotiation with every new government that came aboard through those formative years of RVTV that you would come on board and you will support community access as part of your contract.
Yay, Pete!
Because that was the model, and that's what we were all striving for the governments to have their voice and their information and their message out, unfiltered, not through the mainstream media, but directly communicate to citizens, but also give citizens that opportunity to communicate, share your concerns, issues, and entertain and enlighten our community and show people what great events and
Well,
great things
I
we do.
see
And
that-
you guys do such a great job of that.
I see on Facebook that those broadcasts, the government, the council meetings and stuff, they're being used to, back certain issues or have certain views be brought out on certain issues.
It's amazing how we can share information
Yeah.
these
Now,
days.
Yeah, the thing is that like, or the fact that this studio in the RVTV station allows that public interaction, that public access. When you look at the number of PEG stations across the country, the number that actually allow the actual public end of things is kind of limited compared to just the majority of stations that just focus on education and government. So our valley really is very lucky to have that full public access availability to come in and produce community programming.
Yep.
RVTV, the public access, RVTV Voices really is a hidden gem in
It's
this
a wonderful
valley.
commodity.
It's pretty amazing.
And think PEG access, the educational aspect, based here at the university. Think of the opportunities we've created for students. The
Yes.
equipment that we're able to purchase because of our partnerships with our local governments and the wherewithal and the support of the university. We couldn't create the experiences and opportunities for students and the academic opportunities and courses that we do without this great partnership.
Right.
And again, based at the regional university is a perfect place for all of the governments and everybody and the communities to
Now,
come together.
let's show a clip to give an example of
Yeah.
how all that comes together. I think we have the clip of the Medford Forum, about a minute, where you host, and I'm hoping we can see that.
Good evening to you, everyone. Welcome to the September edition of the Medford Forum. My name is Joe Brett. I'm the operations manager here at RVTV, and it's also my pleasure and duty to be the host of the Medford Forum each month for our friends from the city of Medford. Our council president, Michael Zarazinski, is with us. Welcome, Michael. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
You came out of the bullpen, did a great job in the mayor's seat at the last council meeting.
Well, I'm sure everyone ends up missing him the more I'm around, so I'm glad to make him look good. Thanks.
Kim Wallen was elected to the city council in 2016 after a stint on the Medford School Board and is running for the state Senate District 6 position.
House
District 6, thank you.
So
Great
that's exciting.
family wage opportunity type jobs in those trades. A lot of
Yes.
times, those are kind of jobs that we're looking for.
Right.
we're out of time.
All right.
Thank
Okay.
you both
Yeah.
for a great discussion. Mike Sarzinski and Kim Wallen, good luck in your election endeavors ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service to the council and for willing to continue and to take on bigger challenges because they're awaiting in Salem when you get there. And thanks for a great discussion tonight. Also, thank you to our student crew tonight and our supervisor, Brandon Gibbons, here at the Digital Media Center.
Well, God, Mike, where are we at in the time right now?
We are 20 minutes into the show, Dave.
Ah, okay. Well, I think this would be a great time for the Danielle Kelly Soul Project to perform for our live television audience.
Right.
Bring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woke up this morning feeling blue, all alone, baby, thinking about you. No matter what I do, I don't feel right. I wanna get back to feeling like feeling alright, feeling alright. Well, I know I'd like to be smiling, laughing, feeling free, feeling low all day long. I'm gonna sit here and sing this song, feeling alright, feeling alright. Work all day, dance all night. Change though, who's outside? It doesn't matter, rain or shine. I'm gonna fix this high by day. Work all day, dance all night. Change though, move out of sight. It doesn't matter, rains or shine. I'm gonna fix this high life. Sometimes it's highs, sometimes it's lows. What comes tomorrow, baby, nobody knows. I don't need it, you do you. Just stick with it, we'll see this through. Be feeling alright, feeling alright, oh yeah, feeling alright, yeah, we're feeling alright. Thank you.
Yeah, that's some really good stuff right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. I knew getting them on the show was going to be like a real highlight for the whole season of this year, man. So I'm thankful for you coming on and being a part of the show. All right, so God, Mike, where are we at in the time now?
Dave,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes, God, Mike.
we are 24 minutes into the show, Dave.
Oh, well, we got a little bit of time. So, Joe, I do a little bit of a stupid comic thing that I do at the end of my interviews.
Well, how am I not surprised by that?
It's really stupid.
Yeah.
I work with Dave. I see Dave down here a little bit, so I'm not
Okay.
totally unprepared.
So we have some options to select among.
Okay.
We can have an awkward moment.
Okay.
You can toot your own horn, and I've got a cheap plastic dollar horn that you can play. Or you can go for the small cash prize of a baggie of 100 pennies, and all you got to do to win that 100 pennies is answer a trivia question.
Whew.
Tough choices, Joe.
Yeah, you know more about this than I do. Which direction would you go?
Do you need some money?
Always, yeah. I'm a sportscaster and work at RVTV. That's a redundant question.
Okay, well, so
All right, I'll take the trivia question. 'Cause
Okay.
Let's hope
Okay.
it's in the area of sports.
So let's see here. Let's just get those are my stupid jokes. Okay, so categories for tonight are the silver screen, the 2000s, Sex and the City TV show, or, yeah, that's it.
Let me guess which one you're not going to pick.
Yeah, I didn't watch that show. Let's go to the 2000s. I remember more of those than the 70s. I
Okay,
believe.
all right. Okay. All righty, so the following question comes to us via Gmail from the show's ancestral home of the Nienow clan in Mapleton, Minnesota. Crater Lake is the 5th oldest
The
national
answer
park.
is Crater Lake.
No,
Oh.
Crater Lake is the 5th oldest national park in the United States and the only national park in Oregon. The lake is 1,949 feet deep at its deepest point, making Crater Lake the deepest lake in the United States and the 9th deepest in the world. Your trivia question tonight is, which musician who was called a child prodigy in the 60s was awarded the Medal of Freedom in 2014 for creating music in the key of life?
Stevie Wonder?
That's correct. Yes. You, my friend, get to own the small cash prize of 100 pennies. And let me tell you, it took
Did
me
you
a
count
long
these?
time.
Oh, sorry.
No,
It took me
here,
a long
here,
time
that.
for my mother and I to find those on the ground.
They look like it came out of your ashtray, a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, you
Pretty
know.
shiny, too.
Yeah. So, all righty. So where are we at in the time now, God Mike?
26 minutes and 44 seconds.
Oh, wow. That's like almost coming up on time for the outro video. So I want to thank Danielle Kelly Soul Project for being
Great
a musical
job.
guest and performing for tonight. And boy, they do a bang-up job, don't they?
Good stuff.
Yeah. And I want
What's
to thank
your
my crew.
What's
Yeah.
your next gig? Or do you have another
Yeah, what's your
engagement
next-
coming
We
up?
actually have a new shiny website with our full schedule listings at DanielleKellyMusic.com.
Oh, okay.
All
Be there.
right,
Yeah.
we'll check that
All
out.
right, yeah.
DanielKellyMusic.com. Great.
And I want to thank my wonderful crew for coming in and helping put this wonderful show together. So
Yeah.
we will be coming back here soon for the next half of the show. And Danielle Kelly Soul Project will continue. They'll perform in the next show. And so we will see you next time, Road Valley. Come
Well,
back in
and
3 minutes.
Thank you, Joe, for coming on. It was
Yeah.
great to hear a
thanks,
little,
you guys.
just a brief little bit of your
That's
history.
all I got.
Yeah.